The letter arrived in a crisp envelope, sealed with the weight of finality, and it burned in Ethan Caldwell's hands like a lit fuse. His father's signature scrawled at the bottom confirmed the unthinkable: Evergreen Innovations. The family empire built on decades of grit was sold without a word to him. Ethan, the only son, stood in his modest Seattle apartment, the city skyline mocking him through the window. As the words sank in, he'd been cut out, left with nothing. He hadn't spoken to his father, Richard Caldwell, in 3 years, not since the night Ethan came out, when Richard's face twisted with disgust, spitting words like disappointment and shame before storming out of their family home in Bellevue. Ethan had been 25 then, a rising star at Evergreen, spearheading tech innovations that turned the company into a Pacific Northwest titan. But that night, Richard made it clear Ethan's truth was a betrayal of the Caldwell legacy. Now, at 28, Ethan stood alone, clutching a letter that severed his last tie to the empire he'd helped build. The phone rang, shattering the silence. It was Marcus, his best friend and confidant, whose voice always carried a warmth that grounded Ethan. "You okay, man?" Marcus asked, his tone laced with concern. Ethan could picture him tall, with a quick smile and deep brown eyes, probably pacing his Capitol Hill loft. "I heard about the sale. It's all over the news. Your dad didn't even tell you." "No," Ethan said, his voice tight. "He sold it to some anonymous buyer. Didn't even give me a chance to bid." He tossed the letter onto the coffee table, where it landed next to a framed photo of him and Marcus from their college days at UW, laughing under cherry blossoms. That was before the world got complicated, before Ethan realized he loved Marcus in a way he couldn't say out loud not yet. Marcus sighed. "You deserve better, Ethan. You built that company's future. What's your next move?" Ethan didn't answer right away. His mind was already racing, piecing together a plan. He wasn't the naive kid his father had dismissed. He'd spent the last 3 years quietly building his own startup, Nexus Ventures, from a tiny office in Fremont. It was small but scrappy, with a team of loyal coders and a vision to rival Evergreen. And Ethan had a secret. He wasn't as powerless as his father thought. "I'm going to find out who bought it," Ethan said, a spark igniting in his chest. "And I'm going to take it back." He hung up, his eyes drifting to the skyline. Somewhere out there, Evergreen's new owner was celebrating, oblivious to the storm coming their way. Ethan didn't know it yet, but he was about to uncover a truth that would change everything, not just about the company, but about himself and the man he loved. The next morning, Ethan strode into the Nexus Ventures office, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and buzzing energy. His team, Lila, a brilliant coder with a penchant for neon sneakers, and Javier, a finance whiz who'd fled Wall Street for a freer life, greeted him with cautious optimism. They'd seen the news, too. "Boss, you good?" Lila asked, spinning in her chair. Ethan forced a smile. "I will be. Let's dig into this sale. I want everything on the buyer." Javier cracked his knuckles, already pulling up data on his dual monitors. "It's weird, Ethan. The buyer's hidden behind layers of shell companies. Whoever they are, they don't want to be found." Ethan leaned over Javier's shoulder, scanning the screen. The sale price was staggering $2.3 billion, a fortune that should have secured his family's legacy. Instead, it felt like a slap. By noon, they had a lead. The transaction was brokered by a law firm in downtown Seattle, known for handling high-profile deals. Ethan grabbed his jacket. "I'm going down there." "Keep digging," Lila called after him. "You sure you want to poke this bear alone?" Ethan didn't answer. He was done waiting for permission. The law firm's office was a fortress of glass and steel, its lobby cold and imposing. Ethan demanded a meeting with the partner in charge, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire Voss. She met him in a conference room, her demeanor polished but guarded. "Mr. Caldwell, I understand your frustration," she said, folding her hands. "But the buyer's identity is confidential. The deal is done." "Then undo it," Ethan snapped. "That company was my life. My father had no right to sell it without me." Claire's expression softened, but only slightly. "Your father was the sole owner. He had every right." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Tell me who bought it, or I'll make this public. The press will love a story about a family betrayal." Claire hesitated, then slid a card across the table. "This is all I can give you. The buyer's representative. They'll reach out if they choose." The card read, Avery Quinn, Quinn Enterprises. No address. No phone number, just a name and an email. Ethan pocketed it, his mind already spinning. Whoever Avery Quinn was, they were about to meet a very determined enemy. That night, Ethan met Marcus at a cozy diner in Belltown, the kind of place where the coffee was strong and the booths were worn. Marcus slid into the seat across from him, his leather jacket creaking. "You look like you're planning a heist," he teased, but his eyes were serious. Ethan recounted the day, the card burning a hole in his pocket. "I'm going to email this Avery Quinn. Set up a meeting. I need to know what I'm up against." Marcus reached across the table, his hand brushing Ethan's. "Just be careful, okay? You're not alone in this." Ethan's heart stuttered at the touch, but he pulled back, not ready to cross that line. "Not yet. I know," he said softly, "but this is my fight." The email to Avery Quinn was short, professional, and laced with steel. "I want to discuss the Evergreen sale. Name a time and place." To Ethan's surprise, a reply came within hours. "Tomorrow, 3 p.m. The Harbor Club. Come alone." Ethan stared at the screen, his pulse racing. The game was on. The Harbor Club perched atop a downtown skyscraper, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a dizzying view of Puget Sound. Ethan arrived early, his tailored suit masking the nerves coiling in his stomach. He'd spent the morning researching Avery Quinn, but the internet offered little, a few vague mentions of Quinn Enterprises as a private equity firm. No photos, no personal details. Whoever they were, they moved like a ghost. At exactly 3 p.m., a figure approached his tablio, woman in her late 30s, with sharp cheekbones and a navy blazer that screamed quiet power. "Ethan Caldwell?" she asked, extending a hand. "Avery Quinn." Her grip was firm, her eyes assessing. Ethan stood, matching her intensity. "You're the one who bought my father's company." Avery didn't flinch. "I represent the buyer. Sit." They settled into leather chairs, the city sprawling below like a chessboard. Avery leaned forward, her voice low. "Your father approached us. He was desperate to sell, said he needed to clean house. I assume you know why." Ethan's jaw tightened. He knew exactly why. Richard wanted to erase him, to sever any claim Ethan had to the Caldwell name. "What do you want with Evergreen?" Ethan asked, keeping his tone even. Avery sipped her coffee, unruffled. "It's a valuable asset. Our client sees potential in its tech portfolio, your work, I believe." The acknowledgement stung, a reminder of how much Ethan had poured into Evergreen's AI division. "If you know my work, you know I'm the one who should be running it," he said. Avery's smile was thin, bold. "But the deal's done. Unless you have something substantial to offer, this conversation is academic." Ethan leaned closer, his voice dropping. "I have a company, Nexus Ventures. We're small, but we're innovating faster than Evergreen ever did under my father. I want in partnership, buyback, whatever it takes." Avery's eyes flickered with interest, but she shook her head. "My client isn't looking for partners. They want full control." "Then let me meet them," Ethan pressed. face to face. Avery studied him, then slid a business card across the table her own, with a handwritten date and time. 1 week. Our client will consider it. But don't get your hopes up, Mr. Caldwell. She stood, leaving Ethan with more questions than answers. Back at Nexus, Ethan briefed Lila and Javier. Quinn's a gatekeeper, he said, pacing. The real buyer's hiding, and I need to know why. Javier pulled up financial records, his brow furrowing. Whoever's behind this has deep pockets. The shell companies trace back to offshore accounts Cayman Islands. Mostly. This is big money. Ethan. Lila chimed in. Could be a competitor. Or someone with a grudge against your dad. The thought lingered as Ethan drove to Marcus's loft that evening. Marcus greeted him with a hug that lingered a beat too long. His warmth a stark contrast to the day's cold calculations. Any luck? Marcus asked, pouring wine. Ethan recounted the meeting, frustration seeping into his voice. Avery's playing games. But I'm not backing down. Marcus sat beside him on the couch, their knees brushing. You're relentless. You know that, he said, his voice soft but proud. Ethan met his gaze, feeling the pull he'd fought for years. Marcus had been there through every low-college breakups, his father's rejection, the grueling startup grind. But admitting he loved Marcus meant risking their friendship, and Ethan wasn't sure he could handle another loss. I have to do this, Ethan said, more to himself than Marcus. Not just for me, for everyone at Nexus. For the kid I was when my dad thought I wasn't enough. Marcus's hand found his, steady and sure. You are enough, Ethan. You always have been. The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Ethan wanted to lean in, to close the distance, but fear held him back. Instead, he squeezed Marcus's hand and let go. The week dragged, each day a battle to uncover the buyer's identity. Javier's digging revealed a pattern. Quinn Enterprises had a history of acquiring family businesses, often after internal conflicts. It's like they prey on dysfunction, Javier said, half joking. Ethan's gut twisted. His father's betrayal had made Evergreen an easy target. When the day of the meeting arrived, Ethan prepared meticulously, arming himself with Nexus's latest projections and a pitch to reclaim Evergreen. The meeting was set at a private estate in Medina, a gated enclave for Seattle's elite. Ethan drove through manicured streets, his heart pounding. The house was a modern fortress, all glass and sharp angles, and Avery greeted him at the door. Our client's waiting, she said, leading him to a study where a figure stood by a window, back turned. As the figure turned, Ethan's breath caught. It wasn't a stranger. It was his father's old business partner, Victor Langstone, a man Ethan hadn't seen since childhood, when Victor left Evergreen after a bitter falling out with Richard. Victor's silver hair gleamed under the chandelier, his smile sharp. Ethan, he said, voice smooth as whiskey. You've grown up. You bought Evergreen, Ethan said, disbelief coloring his tone. Victor nodded. Your father thought he could bury the past by selling. He didn't know I was the one waiting to buy. Ethan's mind raced. Victor had been like an uncle once, until Richard accused him of disloyalty and forced him out. Now, Victor had returned, wielding billions and a vendetta. Why hide it? Ethan asked. Victor's smile faded. Because this isn't just about business. It's personal. Your father took everything from Mimi's stake, my reputation. Now I've taken his legacy. Ethan's fists clenched. And what about me? I'm the one who built Evergreen's future. You're punishing me for his sins. Victor's eyes softened, just for a moment. You're collateral damage, Ethan. But I'm not unreasonable. Impress me, and maybe we can talk. He gestured to a chair. Show me what Nexus has. Ethan sat, his resolve hardening. This wasn't just about reclaiming Evergreen Anna Maria, it was about proving he was more than his father's shadow. Ethan's pitch was a masterclass in precision. Every slide of Nexus's growth metrics and AI prototypes designed to dazzle. Victor listened, his expression unreadable, as Ethan laid out his vision, a partnership where Nexus's cutting-edge tech could supercharge Evergreen's market dominance. We're lean, innovative, and hungry, Ethan concluded, locking eyes with Victor. You don't just want a company, you want a legacy. I can give you that. Victor leaned back, steepling his fingers. Impressive, Ethan. You've got your mother's fire, not Richard's arrogance. The mention of his late mother, who died when Ethan was a teen, stung, but Ethan stayed focused. Then let me buy in, he said. Give me a stake in Evergreen, and I'll make it worth your while. Victor's laugh was low, almost cruel. You think I'd hand you a piece of my revenge? Your father humiliated me, Ethan. He didn't just fire Mayhay, spread lies, ruin my name. This company is my justice. Ethan's patience snapped. And what about my justice? I poured my soul into Evergreen, and he sold it out from under me because I'm gay. You're no better than him if you let that stand. The room fell silent, the weight of Ethan's words hanging heavy. Victor's gaze flickered, a crack in his armor. You're not your father, he said finally. But you're still a Caldwell. Prove you're worth more than his name, and maybe we'll talk. He stood, signaling the meeting's end. Avery will be in touch. Ethan drove back to Seattle, the city lights blurring as anger and hope warred within him. Victor's vendetta was personal, but so was Ethan's fight. He called Marcus, needing an anchor. Can I come over? He asked, voice raw. Marcus didn't hesitate. Always. At Marcus's loft, Ethan spilled everything. Victor's return, the meeting, the faint glimmer of a chance. Marcus listened, his presence steadying. You're playing a dangerous game, he said, handing Ethan a beer. Victor sounds like he's got a score to settle, and you're caught in the middle. Ethan nodded, staring at the bottle. I know, but I can't let this go. Evergreen was my life. Marcus moved closer, his voice soft. It's not your whole life, Ethan. You've got people who care about you, Lila. Javier, me. The air shifted, charged with unspoken feelings. Ethan's heart raced, but he couldn't look away from Marcus's eyes, warm and unguarded. I don't know how to do this without you, Ethan admitted, the words slipping out before he could stop them. Marcus's hand found his, fingers intertwining. You don't have to. For a moment, they sat there, the world narrowing to the space between them. Ethan wanted to say more, to confess the love he'd buried for years, but fear choked him. Instead, he leaned his head against Marcus's shoulder, letting the silence speak. The next day, Avery called. Victor's intrigued, she said, her tone clipped. He wants a formal proposal from Nexus. You've got 3 days. Ethan rallied his team, the office buzzing with adrenaline. Lila coded furiously, refining their AI demo, while Javier crunched numbers to make their financials bulletproof. Ethan worked late, fueled by coffee and determination, crafting a proposal that balanced ambition with pragmatism. But doubts crept in. What if Victor was toying with him? What if this was just another way to humiliate a Caldwell? Ethan pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task. He wasn't just fighting for Evergreen, was fighting for himself, for the right to define his own legacy. On the 3rd day, Ethan delivered the proposal to Avery at a neutral downtown office. She skimmed it, her expression unreadable. This is bold, she said. Victor will review it. But a word of advice, he doesn't trust easily. You'll need more than numbers to sway him. Ethan nodded, sensing an opportunity. Then let me meet him again. I'll show him who I am. Avery agreed, scheduling another meeting at Victor's estate. This time, Ethan brought Lila and Javier, wanting Victor to see the team behind Nexus's success. The meeting was tense. Victor's questions sharp and probing. Lila's passion for their AI tech shone through, and Javier's financial acumen held its own against Victor's scrutiny. By the end, Victor's demeanor had shifted, less hostile but still guarded. "I'll consider it," he said, dismissing them. As they left, Lila whispered, "Did we just win him over?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. But we're close." He felt a spark of hope, tempered by caution. Victor was a wild card, and Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play. That night, Ethan invited Marcus to dinner at a waterfront restaurant, needing a break from the grind. The Puget Sound sparkled under moonlight, and Marcus's laughter eased the knot in Ethan's chest. Over dessert, Marcus reached for his hand, his touch deliberate. "You're doing something incredible," he said, "but don't lose yourself in this fight. Okay?" Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to tell Marcus everything, how his feelings had grown, how every touch made his heart ache. But the words caught, and he settled for a quiet, "I won't." Marcus's smile was bittersweet, as if he knew what Ethan couldn't say. As they walked along the waterfront, Marcus stopped, turning to face him. "Ethan, I need to tell you something." His voice was steady, but his eyes held a vulnerability Ethan had never seen. "I've been in love with you for years. I didn't say it because I didn't want to lose you. But I can't keep pretending." Ethan froze, his heart pounding. The world seemed to pause, the sound of waves fading. He dreamed of this moment, but fear had always held him back. Now, with Marcus standing before him, raw and honest, Ethan felt the walls he'd built begin to crumble. "Marcus," he whispered, stepping closer, "I love you too." Their kiss was tentative at first, then fierce, years of unspoken longing pouring out. For the first time in days, Ethan felt whole, not just a man fighting for a company, but someone who could love and be loved. The kiss changed everything. Ethan woke the next morning in Marcus's loft, sunlight streaming through the windows, Marcus's arm draped over him. For a moment, he let himself linger in the warmth, the weight of the world held at bay. But reality crashed and Victor's decision loomed, and Ethan's fight for Evergreen was far from over. At Nexus, the team was buzzing with cautious optimism. Avery had emailed. Victor wanted another meeting, this time to discuss terms. "He's considering a partnership," Ethan told Lila and Javier, trying to temper his own excitement. "But he's testing us. We need to be ready for anything." Lila grinned. "Bring it on. Our tech's untouchable." Javier was more cautious. "Victor's playing chess. Ethan, watch your back." The meeting was set for Victor's estate. But this time, Ethan arrived alone, wanting to face Victor without distractions. The study was dimly lit. Victor standing by a fireplace, a glass of bourbon in hand. "You're persistent," Victor said, not turning. "I'll give you that." Ethan stood tall. "I'm not here to beg. I'm offering you a deal that benefits us both." Victor turned, his eyes sharp. "Your proposal's solid. Nexus has potential. But I need more than potential, I need loyalty." The word hung heavy, laced with history. Ethan sensed the unspoken. Victor's betrayal by Richard still festered. "I'm not my father," Ethan said firmly. "I don't betray the people I care about." Victor's gaze softened, but only slightly. "Prove it. I'll give you a 20% stake in Evergreen, contingent on Nexus delivering a working AI prototype within 6 months. Fail, and you're out for good." Ethan's heart raced. It was a gamble, but it was a chance. "Deal," he said, extending his hand. Victor shook it, his grip iron. "Don't disappoint me, Ethan." Back at Nexus, Ethan shared the news. Lila hooped, already sketching out timelines. while Javier frowned. 6 months is tight. We'll need to pull all-nighters. Ethan nodded. We will. This is our shot. But doubt not at him. Victor's terms were fair, but brutal. Any misstep could cost them everything. That evening, Ethan met Marcus at a quiet park near Lake Union, needing to clear his head. They walked along the water, the city's hum a distant backdrop. You did it, Marcus said, pride in his voice. You're getting Evergreen back. Ethan shook his head. Not yet. It's a start. But Victor's not playing nice. I'm worried he's setting me up. Marcus stopped, turning Ethan to face him. You're not alone in this. You've got me. Lila. Javier, hell. Half of Seattle would back you if they knew your story. Ethan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I don't want to drag you into this mess. Marcus, you've already done so much. Marcus's expression hardened. Don't push me away. I'm in this because I love you. The words hit Ethan like a wave, washing away his defenses. He pulled Marcus close, their foreheads touching. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Marcus laughed softly. Yeah, you do. Now let's get through this together. They kissed, the world fading until it was just them, a promise sealed under the stars. The next weeks were a blur of code, coffee, and late nights. Nexus's office became a war room, whiteboards covered in diagrams, takeout containers piling up. Lila's AI Prototypia predictive algorithm for market trends was taking shape, but glitches plagued their progress. Ethan pushed the team hard, but he pushed himself harder, haunted by the fear of failing Victor's test. One night, Javier pulled Ethan aside. I found something weird, he said, showing Ethan a financial report. Victor's been funneling money from Evergreen into another company, one tied to his old business ventures. It's like he's stripping assets. Ethan's stomach dropped. Was Victor planning to gut Evergreen, leaving him with a hollow victory? Confronting Victor was risky, but Ethan couldn't wait. He drove to the estate, unannounced, and found Victor in his garden, pruning roses. You're bleeding Evergreen dry, Ethan said, voice steady despite his anger. Victor didn't look up. You're jumping to conclusions. I'm reallocating resources, not destroying them. Ethan stepped closer. If you're using me to hurt my father, I'll walk away. I'm not your pawn. Victor set down his shears, meeting Ethan's gaze. You're sharper than I thought. Yes, I'm moving assets to protect Evergreen from your father's creditors. He left debts you don't know about. Ethan blinked, caught off guard. Why didn't you tell me? Victor shrugged. You didn't trust me. Why should I trust you? The revelation shifted something in Ethan. Victor wasn't just a vengeful opportunist, was a man trying to salvage what Richard had broken. Then let's be honest, Ethan said. Work with me, not against me. Victor nodded slowly. Finish that prototype, and we'll talk. Ethan returned to Nexus with renewed focus, but the pressure was mounting. Marcus started spending nights at the office, bringing food and moral support. One evening, as they sat on the office couch, Marcus asked, what happens if you pull this off? Will you be happy? Ethan paused, the question cutting deep. I thought Evergreen was everything, he said. But now, I think it's about proving I can build something better. With you. Marcus's smile was radiant. Good answer. They kissed, the moment a quiet victory amidst the chaos. But as Ethan leaned into Marcus, a text from Avery buzzed his phone. Your father's in Seattle. He wants to meet you. Tomorrow. Ethan's heart sank. Richard Caldwell was back, and Ethan knew this was no coincidence. Ethan stared at Avery's text, the words blurring as his pulse hammered. Richard Caldwell, the man who disowned him, was back in Seattle, demanding a meeting. Ethan hadn't seen his father since that night 3 years ago, when Richard's rejection had shattered him. Now, With Victor's deal on the line and Nexus's prototype teetering, Richard's timing felt like a deliberate strike. He met Marcus's gaze, the loft's soft lighting casting shadows on his worried face. "You don't have to see him," Marcus said, his hand steady on Ethan's shoulder. "He doesn't get to waltz back into your life like this." Ethan shook his head. "I need to know what he wants. If he's here to sabotage me, I'm not running." Marcus sighed but nodded, his support unwavering. "I'm coming with you." The meeting was set at a sterile downtown cafe, all chrome and glass, far from the warmth of their usual haunts. Ethan arrived early, Marcus at his side, and spotted Richard at a corner table, his silver hair slicked back, his suit immaculate. He looked older, lines deeper around his eyes, but his posture still screamed control. Ethan's stomach twisted as he approached, Marcus a quiet strength beside him. "Ethan," Richard said, standing. His voice clipped. "You look, well." His eyes flicked to Marcus, narrowing slightly, but he said nothing. Ethan sat, keeping his expression neutral. "Why are you here, Dad?" The word felt foreign, bitter. Richard folded his hands. "I heard you're trying to worm your way back into Evergreen. I came to warn you, let it go." Ethan's fists clenched under the table. "You sold it without telling me. You don't get to dictate what I do now." Richard's jaw tightened. "I sold it to protect our family's name. You were dragging it down." The words cut, but Ethan refused to flinch. "You mean I was dragging it down by being myself? You sold it to erase me." Marcus leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "You don't know your son at all, do you? He's built something incredible without you." Richard's gaze hardened. "And you are." Marcus didn't back down. "Someone who believes in him. Unlike you." The tension was electric, and Ethan felt a surge of gratitude for Marcus's defiance. Richard ignored Marcus, focusing on Ethan. "Victor Langston bought Evergreen. He's using you to get to me. Walk away, or he'll destroy you." Ethan leaned closer, his voice steady. "If Victor's playing me, I'll handle it. But this isn't about you anymore. It's about what I deserve." He stood, Marcus following, and left without looking back. At Nexus, Ethan channeled his anger into work. The prototype was close, but bugs persisted, and the deadline loomed. Lila worked tirelessly, her optimism infectious, while Javier monitored Victor's financial moves, confirming his asset shifts were legitimate but aggressive. "He's not lying about the debts," Javier said. "Your dad left Evergreen in a mess." Ethan nodded, grappling with the complexity of Victor's motives and his father's failures. That night, Marcus stayed over, their connection deepening with every shared moment. As they lay in bed, Ethan traced the lines of Marcus's face, feeling a courage he hadn't known before. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Not just of failing but of becoming like him." Marcus kissed his forehead. "You're nothing like him. You fight for people, not power." The words anchored Ethan, but Richard's warning echoed. Was Victor using him? He needed answers. The next day, he called Avery, demanding transparency. "Victor's been straight with you," she insisted. "He's protecting Evergreen, not gutting it. Your father's debts were crippling." Ethan pressed. "Then why the secrecy?" Avery hesitated. "Meet me tomorrow. I'll show you." Avery took Ethan to a nondescript office in Pioneer Square, where she revealed Evergreen's financial records. The numbers were grim: millions in loans, unpaid vendors, a company teetering on collapse. "Your father hid this from everyone," Avery said. "Victor's been cleaning it up, but it's a tightrope." Ethan's anger toward his father deepened, but so did his respect for Victor's gamble. He returned to Nexus, briefing the team. "We're not just saving Evergreen," he told them. "We're saving it from my father's mistakes." Lila grinned. "Let's nail this prototype then." They worked through the night, fixing bugs, refining code. By dawn, the AI was stable, its predictive models outperforming anything Evergreen had produced. Ethan scheduled a demo with Victor, his confidence tempered by nerves. The estate's conference room felt like a battlefield as Ethan presented, Lila and Javier at his side. The prototype ran flawlessly, charts lighting up with real-time data. Victor watched, his expression unreadable, then clapped slowly. "You've done it," he said. "The stake is yours." But as Ethan shook Victor's hand, Avery entered, her face pale. "We have a problem," she said, handing Victor a tablet. He scanned it, his jaw tightening. "Your father's filed a lawsuit. He's claiming fraud in the sale." Ethan's heart sank. Richard wasn't done fighting and he was coming for them all. The lawsuit hit like a tidal wave. Richard's claim accused Victor of manipulating the sale, alleging he'd coerced Richard under financial duress. Ethan read the filing in Nexus's office, the words blurring as anger surged. His father wasn't just trying to reclaim Evergreen, was trying to destroy it, along with Ethan's future. Lila slammed her laptop shut. "This is personal. Your dad's out for blood." Javier nodded, scanning the legal documents. "He's got a top-tier firm. This could drag on for years." Ethan's mind raced. A prolonged lawsuit could bankrupt Nexus and stall Victor's plans, leaving Evergreen vulnerable. He needed to act fast. He called Marcus, who arrived at the office within the hour, his presence a steadying force. "What's the play?" Marcus asked, leaning against Ethan's desk. Ethan took a deep breath. "I confront my father. If he wants a fight, I'll give him one, but on my terms." Marcus frowned. "He's not going to listen, Ethan. He never has." Ethan met his gaze, resolute. "Then I'll make him." Ethan arranged a meeting at Richard's Hotel, a sleek tower in downtown Seattle. He went alone, wanting no distractions. Richard greeted him in a penthouse suite, his demeanor cold but smug. "You're wasting your time," Richard said, pouring himself a scotch. "Victor's a snake, and you're his pawn." Ethan stood tall, refusing to be baited. "You sold Evergreen to hurt me. Now you're suing to hurt Victor. When does it stop, Dad?" Richard's eyes narrowed. "You chose this path, Ethan. You could have been part of the family legacy, but you threw it away." Ethan stepped closer, his voice low. "I didn't throw anything away. You did when you decided who I love makes me less than you." For the first time, Richard faltered, his glass pausing midair. "I'm not here to beg," Ethan continued. "Drop the lawsuit, or I'll go public with everything: your debts, your lies, how you disown me for being gay. The world will know who you really are." Richard's face reddened, but he didn't speak. Ethan turned to leave, then paused. "You lost me 3 years ago. Don't lose what's left of your name." Back at Nexus, Ethan prepared for the demo's final phase, integrating the AI into Evergreen's systems. Victor had agreed to oversee the process, but his trust was conditional. "Your father's lawsuit changes things," Victor said during a tense call. "If you want this partnership, you need to neutralize him." Ethan agreed, though the weight of it pressed on him. Marcus noticed the strain, pulling Ethan aside one evening. "You're carrying too much," he said, his hands framing Ethan's face. "Let me help." Ethan leaned into him, exhausted. "I don't know how to fix this, Marcus. My dad's never going to change." Marcus kissed him softly. "Then stop trying to fix him. Focus on you, on us." Inspired, Ethan devised a bold plan. He'd leak the truth about Richard's debts to the press, framing it as a cautionary tale of corporate mismanagement. With Javier's help, he gathered evidence: financial records, emails, vendor complaints, and sent an anonymous tip to a local journalist. The story broke the next day. Headlined, Caldwell's fall. How Evergreen's founder left a legacy of debt. The fallout was swift. Richard's lawsuit lost credibility as creditors swarmed, demanding answers. Victor called Ethan, his tone grudgingly impressed. "You played dirty, kid. I like it." Ethan didn't smile. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for Evergreen and for me." With the lawsuit faltering, Ethan and his team pushed the AI integration, working around the clock. Lila's code was flawless, and Javier secured funding to cover Nexus's costs. Marcus stayed close, his support unwavering, even as Ethan's stress peaked. One night, as they tested the system, a bug crashed the servers. Lila cursed, but Ethan rallied them. "We're close. We can't stop now." Hours later, they fixed it, the AI humming to life. Ethan watched the data stream, a surge of pride washing over him. This was his work, his vision, not his father's, not Victor's. He called Victor, who arrived at Nexus to see the results. The demo was a triumph, the AI predicting market shifts with uncanny accuracy. Victor clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "You've earned your stake. But there's one more thing." Victor revealed a letter, written by Ethan's mother before her death. "She gave it to me years ago," Victor said. "She knew your father would never accept you. She asked me to look out for you if things fell apart." Ethan's hands trembled as he read her words, filled with love and faith in the man he'd become. Tears stung his eyes, but they were cleansing, a release of years of pain. The letter from Ethan's mother was a lifeline, grounding him as the final pieces of his plan fell into place. Her words, "You are enough," always echoed in his mind, fueling his resolve. With the AI integrated and Victor's approval secured, Ethan held a 20% stake in Evergreen, a foothold in the company he'd once dreamed of leading. But the victory felt incomplete. Richard's shadow still loomed, and Ethan needed closure. He arranged one last meeting, this time at the old Caldwell family home in Bellevue, now empty and up for sale. Richard arrived, his face haggard from the media storm. "You've ruined me," he said, his voice hollow. Ethan stood in the living room where he'd once played as a child, memories clashing with the present. "You ruined yourself," he replied. "You could have trusted me, but you chose hate." Richard's eyes flickered with something like regret, but he said nothing. Ethan pressed on. "I'm part of Evergreen now, whether you like it or not, and I'm going to make it better than you ever did." He paused, softening. "You can still be part of this family, Dad, but it's your choice." Richard looked away, silent, and Ethan knew that was his answer. He walked out, leaving the past behind. At Nexus, the team celebrated, toasting to their success with cheap wine and pizza. Lila raised her glass. To Ethan, who proved them all wrong. Javier smirked. And to kicking Richard's ass. Laughter filled the room, but Ethan's eyes found Marcus, standing quietly by the window. They slipped away to the rooftop, the Seattle skyline glittering below. "You did it," Marcus said, his voice thick with pride. Ethan took his hand, their fingers lacing together. "We did it. I couldn't have gotten here without you." Marcus's smile was soft, his eyes reflecting the city lights. "What's next, Mr. Caldwell?" Ethan laughed, pulling him close. "Building something new together." They kissed, the world falling away, and Ethan felt a truth settle in his bones. He wasn't just reclaiming Evergreen. He was reclaiming himself. The company his father had sold was his again, not because of Richard, but because of his own strength, his team's loyalty, and Marcus's love. Months later, Evergreen thrived under Victor's leadership and Ethan's innovations. The AI platform became a market leader, and Nexus grew, its team expanding. Ethan and Marcus moved in together, their loft a haven of laughter and late-night talks. Richard faded from the public eye, his legacy tarnished, but his son's rising. One evening, Ethan received a Packagia small box with no return address. Inside was a photo of him as a boy, smiling beside his mother, and a note in her handwriting, "For my Ethan, who will change the world." Victor had kept it all these years, a final gift from a mother who'd believed in him. Ethan held it close, tears falling, knowing he'd made her proud. He looked at Marcus, asleep on the couch, and felt a peace he'd never known. The company was his, but so was this life, one built on love, not legacy. And that was worth more than any empire.